All right, guys, welcome back to another video. Lots to go over today. But before we do get into it, if you are new here or if you've been watching for a while, make sure to hit the subscribe button, help the channel grow. I do make daily gaming content, so if you're into that stuff, make sure to hit the subscribe. But let's start off here with a rumor that has started, but I don't believe it for literally 1 second. I believe this entire thing was made up, and I think that even the person who put this out initially deleted the tweet itself, and that has to do with Square Enix and Xbox. This account here, Goat Gaming, hadn't really heard too much about it, but obviously if you put out big rumors like this, and if somehow they do come true in some point in the future, you're going to grow. So they put out this tweet here saying, developing PlayStation is secretly fighting an Xbox acquisition of Square Enix. Insiders are saying Xbox P3, so Phil Spencer, is working out a deal to acquire the studio and have the announcement by the summer showcase. So, I mean, this is not happening. I would almost guarantee that. But at the same time, it does get people talking and thinking about the question of Square Enix, because they've been in the rumors now for acquisitions for a while, and it kind of died down, and it seemed like that they weren't really open to that anymore. A lot of people thought that PlayStation was going to be the publisher, the platform that did go and acquire Square Enix, especially because of their history with all of their exclusive deals and the games like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 16. In reality, it would make sense if it were ever to be acquired, it would be by PlayStation. But then we also saw that change now over the last little while, where they are far more open to putting all of their games back onto Xbox. Phil Spencer has obviously created a better relationship with Square Enix, and we are seeing more games come over to the Xbox platform. So much so, like, I will be surprised if we see the next Final Fantasy missing Xbox on release, and I will be surprised if the next remake does not come out on to Xbox. And the next remake, I mean either Final Fantasy VIII, maybe Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX is rumored to be in development, and I will be surprised if that game doesn't hit Xbox. So I think overall, the relationship between Xbox and Square Enix has definitely improved. But I don't think that Xbox right now is looking to acquire another studio or another major publisher like Square Enix with all of the IPs and all of the games that they do have, because they are really right now, I think, trying to figure out the best way to manage everything they do have, from the ABK acquisition and then previously the Bethesda acquisition. Of course, Xbox wants to grow in Japan, and that's one of their main goals. I think going more multi-platform, putting Xbox games on platforms where gamers in Japan are playing, is one of their strategies to try and grow more there, to get their software out in front of more people. So I think that's one of the things, but I do not see PlayStation or even Xbox right now acquiring a Square Enix, especially with what has been going on in the industry with the shrinkage and the overall increase in costs of gaming. So this is a rumor that has been going around. I just want to quickly start off the show talking about that, because I don't think it's true, and I believe the person even deleted the tweet, and a lot of people were going over this and reporting it, but it is not something that it makes any sense going forward. And we are at a point as well that you could argue that Xbox is doing what they are doing, where they are putting their games in more places. So if they ever do decide to acquire another massive publisher, they can go to the regulatory bodies and say, hey, look, we are not going to be keeping games off of any other platform. But there will be more acquisitions in the future by Xbox, probably by PlayStation as well. But I don't think it will be something as big as a Square Enix, at least not right now, in terms of the major acquisitions that will be happening. But let's just continue on here. Let's talk about studios that Xbox do own, and that is ZeniMax Online Studios. We know them for Elder Scrolls Online, and it looks like that they are making some more games, some more new IPs. We have this here. It says ZeniMax Online Studios developing 2 AAA games with 2 different engines, and one of them is a new IP. The first one is a new IP MMORPG that is being built with the new engine, and the second game is being developed by former employees of Activision, Raven Software, DICE, PUBG, Bungie, and we don't really know what it is, but you have IdleSoft here speculating that maybe a shooter game. So that is pretty interesting. 2 more games that Xbox is working on that we have no idea what they are about. A new MMORPG, a new IP, and then whatever else the next game is from all of these developers from these pretty big studios. They're also working alongside the multiplayer group who is assisting ZeniMax Online Studios for their next generation unannounced AAA titles. It's just kind of a co-developer group, a consultancy group that helps you create the games and IPs that you are working on. So more games in the works here from Xbox. These ones, we don't know when we will see them. I'm guessing they're pretty early on. I doubt we will see them anytime soon, but exciting stuff as we are getting up to June soon, where that showcase, from everything we've heard so far, sounds like it is going to be exceptional, which I think over the last couple of years, last 2 years at least, Xbox has had phenomenal summer showcases. And if they're going to be able to top those again, I mean, that's going to be pretty crazy. So we will see if we see any more information about these games at the showcase or sometime in the future at an Xbox showcase at all. All right, let's talk Sea of Thieves, because Sea of Thieves has been in the news a little bit recently. And as we know, obviously, it's one of the games going over to PlayStation 5. But there was a report as well, as people were kind of getting annoyed and mad and getting on Xbox about releasing exclusive content that's only available on the PlayStation 5 version of the game, which if you looked into it further, it's not really anything. It's what they do with the different sails, so you can kind of indicate when you're sailing around the seas what platform you are on. There's exclusive content on the Xbox version. There's going to be exclusive content on the PS5 version, just cosmetics basically, I'm guessing, so that if you are in the middle of these seas and you see another boat with a PlayStation flag on their boat versus a boat with an Xbox flag on it, you can have middle of the Sea of Thieves console wars going on and stuff like that. So I actually think that makes complete sense. But a lot of people were obviously, just anytime anything comes out about Xbox and their games that are on PlayStation, anytime you hear anything about an exclusive cosmetic, people really do lose their minds. So we will see if there is ever any more than that when it comes to Sea of Thieves. But I don't really think they're going to give them anything besides that. And a cosmetic to indicate what platform you're on does make a ton of sense. But in terms of Sea of Thieves, besides that, it is going to be a major game that Microsoft is going to look at as to what they do going forward with bringing more games over to the PlayStation 5. It says here, Microsoft's keeping an eye on Sea of Thieves PS5 performance. They announced 4 first-party games for the PS5 this year: Sea of Thieves, Half-Life Rush, Grounded, and Pentiment. And according to The Verge's Tom Warren, it's rare Sea of Thieves that the company particularly has its eye on. The website sources claims that Sea of Thieves will be a key test for whether other games might make their way to the PlayStation 5 or the Nintendo Switch. And I think Sea of Thieves is going to do very well. I think there are a lot of people that will end up picking up and playing this game, and Xbox will make more money off of expanding that user base. But will it be enough for them to think, okay, now we want to bring more of our games over to the PlayStation 5? That is obviously the question. We don't know what their metric is. We don't know what their number is to make that final call. But Sea of Thieves in general was already very successful before they made this move. So I'm not sure how much more money they are expecting to make off of this IP from PlayStation 5 players, but we will see as they do eventually jump in and start playing the game. And when it comes to the PlayStation 5, right now, as we know, no first-party games in 2024, and it doesn't seem like that's changing based off of the showcases that they've had. There's no mention of it, or at least no mention about anything coming out in the near future. And there may be some smaller games, though, that we have not heard of. This comes from Jeff Grubb, who leaked or says that there may be a PlayStation showcase scheduled for May. Silent Hill 2 remake potentially could show up at that event. But then Jeff Grubb also says that Sony still has smaller PlayStation 5 exclusives in the pipeline for this year, and one of them happens to be a new game featuring Astro Bot. So there may be a first-party game from PlayStation this year from their first-party studios that actually does make its way out, albeit a smaller game, which would be an Astro Bot game. But to be honest, the pack-in Astro Bot game that came with the PlayStation 5 was actually a ton of fun, and I was always hoping that they would expand out on that and make a fuller version of that game with all of the features, especially with the DualSense and stuff. I thought it was really cool. It was just pretty much a tech demo, but I thought it was a really good game, and I would love to see a more expansive version of the Astro Bot game. So if they were to release that this year, I'd actually kind of be interested in that. All right, let's jump over here. Let's talk about Call of Duty. Vanguard. As you know, Call of Duty Vanguard is known as one of the most disliked Call of Duties that they have released, myself included. I was not a very big fan of Vanguard, but this is an example, as it doesn't really matter what Call of Duty puts out. They're still going to be a top selling game, and they're still going to sell tons and tons of copies of that game, even if the reviews come in and they are all really bad. I mean, you can even think about Modern Warfare 3, the campaign reviews were absolutely terrible. And I know not that many people actually play the campaign, but it was just an initial negative press against the game. And it obviously isn't going to affect any of the numbers in terms of sales. And in terms of Vanguard, it had really no effect, the negativity surrounding it. As it says, Call of Duty Vanguard has been widely considered one of the worst Call of Duty games ever released. And the game has mixed or average ratings on Metacritic. But even with all of that, it still sold 30 million copies worldwide. The number comes directly from Brian Hong, who was a social media strategist for Activision for that game. And they say here, our 2021 premium release didn't meet our expectations. We believe primarily due to our own execution. The game's World War II setting didn't resonate with some of our community, and we didn't deliver as much innovation in the premium game as we would have liked. That's them speaking on the actual performance of Call of Duty Vanguard, but still 30 million copies sold. That's not meeting their expectations. And that just kind of gives you a look at just how insane the amount of sales are that Call of Duty just have. Now, it being a part of Xbox, they get all those sales, they get all those revenues, and they get now even the mobile side of things, which is why this is such a massive IP here. When we were thinking back to the whole Jim Ryan and PlayStation, them trying to block the deal, and all the focus was on Call of Duty. It's just so big. It really does move the needle in the gaming industry. Another major game that's a first-party Xbox game is Starfield, and they have a pretty unique thing here. Even, again, a game here that I'd say mixed for a lot of people. A lot of people loved it, and then the other, another side of people who hated it. If you looked at all the negativity surrounding Starfield when it came out, you would have thought that this game tanked and nobody was playing it and nobody liked it, which is the furthest thing away from the truth. Tons of people loved it, and it actually did very well commercially. And we have even more information here that in a news report in terms of the player numbers, it said here, it was made clear that live service titles continue to reign supreme over everything else in the industry. On every major platform, Fortnite boasted the highest monthly active users through 2023, followed closely behind the likes of Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, and Roblox. There was also special mentions of Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, Apex Legends, and Rocket League. But there was a standout game here that was not a live service and not a multiplayer game, and that was Starfield. Starfield was a standout example among these lists, which took data from 37 markets around the world. It was the only single-player exclusive game to hit the top 10 on a global scale, which was likely thanks to the game launching as a part of Xbox Game Pass in September 2023. So, some good info to take away there. The only first single-player game that was in the top 10 for monthly active users in 2023. And one of the reasons, and I would agree here, is that they did launch it into Xbox Game Pass, and it really does show you the value and the power that Xbox Game Pass can bring to a game when they do put it into a service day one. And Starfield also sold well, and they had insane amount of users what they were announcing as shortly after the release of the game. So really, no matter what anyone says about Starfield, whether they liked it or hated it or whatever, or they try to downplay it, it was a very successful launch and a very successful game. And once the DLC comes out and stuff, I think it will again be revitalized, and you'll have tons of people jumping in and playing Starfield. And finally, to end things off, let's quickly talk about this, because as we know, Persona is on Xbox now, and that's huge for Xbox. That's huge for them to reach players that they previously could not reach, especially in places like Japan. And you think about the fact that you have Persona games on Game Pass. The newest Atlas game was announced and shown off at the Xbox showcase last year. So it's just been a huge turnaround and a huge positive for Xbox in getting more stuff from Atlas and more games that would appeal to different regions of the world. And Persona 6, as we know, they're making it, it's in development. And the question is this game coming to Xbox? And most people are saying, yes, this game will be launching on Xbox and will be coming day one on Xbox. Maybe by some craziness, Phil Spencer has a huge bag and puts it, gives it to Atlas. and they do get it into Game Pass day one. I'm a little skeptical and doubtful of that just because of how successful Persona 3 Reload sold, how fast that sold. The game Persona is becoming, I guess, more mainstream in the West, and people just really want to play it no matter what, so they may not think that putting it into Game Pass would make very much sense. But Persona 6, the color theme for it is green. Not, this could mean anything. I mean, this just could be literally the color that they've chosen to go with as the theme itself. But with all the recent events of Xbox and the improvement of that relationship between Xbox and Atlas and getting Persona games on Xbox, maybe this could be some sort of hint that there will be something to do here with Xbox getting Persona 6, whether that just means it being released on the console, or maybe the insane announcement would be if they actually did get that into Game Pass day and date. But I will end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
We'll be right back.